Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, Shakur Stevenson fought this past weekend, and, unquestionably, he won the fight. But my question is he being unfairly attacked? Because right now, he's being publicly lynched for what some people are saying is being extremely boring and afraid to take risk in the ring. They've even gone as far as cutting little clips like what you're seeing here. Now watch him as he gets in the corner, right? Let me slow this down. These people out here are ruthless. But this is why I say, in my opinion, right? Let me bring this back. To me, Shakur Stevenson needs to just, like I always say, learn to listen a whole lot and talk very little, because he's giving these people the motivation to go and clip a segment from one of the rounds to make him look like he's afraid. And the reason they're doing that is because he's going back and forth with them on social media. Now watch, you can see he's watching Haratunian coming at him. But this is the clip, watch. He's going to make it look like he's scared, but all he's doing is paying attention to the fighter, watching his body language so he knows exactly where the punch is going to come from so he can get underneath it or out the way of it or roll out. But this is circulating all over the internet and they're having a field day with it. Now watch Shakur Stevenson's eyes. See, you see here? He sees him coming in and see, he's getting out the way. You see his eyes, see, he's slipping it, but then watch his mouth opens because he knows another punch is coming. And you can see his eyes in his hands, and he's anticipating it, and he gets underneath it. And now he's where he wants to be, out of the dangerous neighborhood, and he's chest to chest with Haratuni. He can get a shot off. But boxing fans are having a field day with that. Now, what I will say with Shakur Stevenson, right? He's not Gervonta Davis, right? He's a boxer. And I even went out here and said this should have a new category as being the boxer runner. Because, to be honest with you, that's what a lot of these fighters do. You have a lot of guys who are boxer punchers, or who are brawlers or knockout artists. And they'll find themselves in a situation to where they're in there fighting and they may hurt their hand. So even though they had a guy hurt, and once they hurt their hand, now they can't really do the work they want to do. And they end up becoming a boxer runner. Just boxing, using the one hand that's healthy and just trying to get themselves to a decision, right? Good example, Gervonta Davis. He is the classic definition of a boxer puncher. He can box and he can crack. You know what I'm saying? But we saw when he fought Isaac Pitbull Cruz, change to the change, he ended up becoming a boxer runner. And what I mean is he had to run around that ring to make sure he was repositioning himself to work with his, I think it was just his right hand, that's all he had. Work with just the right hand. And he made sure to run himself all the way through the whole fight to end up winning by decision. So being a boxer runner is not a bad thing when you had to become a boxer runner at times, but when every time you get in the ring, the perception is that all you're going to do is just basically try to fight not to lose. That's where you can lose fans. Now remember, there are a lot of us who, I don't care if you fought professionally, you fought as an amateur, or you just did a lot of sparring, right? If you've gotten inside a ring before, you know what that shit feels like when you're in there, especially if you don't want to get hit. That adrenaline's going, that anxiety is there, and especially when you're sitting there and someone's trying to take your head off, and you're watching and you're trying to either catch the shot or get underneath the shot, counter it, whatever you're trying to do. All that stuff we saw in Shakur Stevenson, that clip I just showed you. Anyone who's been in a boxing ring before, doesn't matter what level, right? If you've actually been in a boxing ring and you've done some form of sparring fighting, it's all fighting, right? You know what that's like. So when people are attacking him, look, I got a good sense of humor. I think it comes with the territory. I think he has a good sense of humor. But it seems like it's starting to really get underneath his skin. And he's really going, it's like World War III out here on Twitter with Shakur Stevenson, Ryan Garcia, and just a bunch of boxing fans. And the more he tries to defend himself or he tries to, respond to the critics, the worse to me it makes for his situation. Because Shakur Stevenson, unlike a lot of other boxers, right? He has a very strong presence on Twitter. And that's a good thing because Shakur Stevenson will engage with you. He'll talk to you. And not a lot of fighters give fans and content creators those opportunities. But the downside of having such a presence is he reads and sees all of the bullshit. And I can tell it bothers him. Because Shakur Stevenson, you can see when he cried, when he was there after the Olympics, man, and I think he won the gold, won the silver and shit. We can laugh at that. Even he'll laugh at that. He's like, man, I don't like losing, man. I was crying and boo-hooing. Yeah, we saw him with his tongue hanging out his mouth, wrapped around his scalp. You know what I'm saying? Dragging across and saliva splashing off all four corners of the room. We saw it. It's funny. But we've all been through shit. But we can all laugh at that. But the thing is, when you're out here watching what other fighters are doing, and you're poking them in the eye for a less than stellar performance or not performing to their potential, okay, well, you're up. And now you got to get out there and deliver. And when you can't do that, that gives the people who you've been poking in the eye, and it gives boxing fans a chance to come back and say, what happened? And to me, I just think a guy like Shakur Stevenson and a lot of these other fighters, it's their choice if they want to engage the fans or fellow boxers or anyone who's not saying something positive about them. It's their choice. You say what you want. But there are consequences. Because what I notice about this boxing community and just Twitter, period, that shit is toxic. These people are bandwagoners. If you're doing good, they jump on the bandwagon and they'll support you. You're doing bad, they'll jump on the bandwagon and they'll tear you apart. And when Shakur Stevenson is out here arguing with everyone, that just makes more people pay attention. Like even me, I don't really be paying attention to that shit, but even I noticed today, I'm like, damn, my man is like, goddamn, did he brush his teeth and take a shower? Like, it's like he got in front of that computer and he just couldn't walk away from it because there's so much shit being said. Even them guys, man, the rappers, ex-rappers, whatever they are, Cameron and Mace, they talking about it, making fun of him, talking about he's boring, they don't want to see him. I think Stephen A. said something. I mean, everybody's just shredding this guy. Now, I will say this. I've done several videos on this shit, and I mean it. They're all, the boxer puncher, the Mayweather, the Shane Mosley, the Trinidads, the De La Hoyas, man, the Zab Judas, the Miguel Cottos, all those guys who are fighting at the same time with boxer punches, man. So when they got in the ring, you just never knew at what time who was going to land some shit and knock the other person out. Or they were so sharp, so fast, their defense was so good. Like they just were special fighters. There will never be another one. And we just happen to have copious amounts of them fighting at the same time. You don't have that right now. This generation ain't like that. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have Tank Davis out there. I'm not saying Ryan Garcia, you can say what you want. He's a boxer puncher. Ryan Garcia will knock your ass out. Don't get it twisted because he's out here fucking avoiding the loony bin. Ryan Garcia can clip you. But really, you just don't have an abundance of boxer punchers. And I think fans expect for Shakur Stevenson to somehow, morph himself into being this one-hitter quitter, mash-up, crash-up type fighter. That's not him. And I think deep down, he almost wants people to try to understand that. Look, I'm trying to give y'all what y'all say I can't do, and I don't do in fights, is step to somebody and knock them out. The problem is this, right? Harutunian, a lot of people still don't even know who Harutunian is. We know who he is. He's a bronze medalist. He's an amazing fighter. We know that Harutunian, is solid. He fought Frank Martin, gave Frank Martin all he could handle. Shakur handled Harutunian much better than Frank Martin, right? But the thing is, people are seeing him coming there doing that against what they're going to consider a tomato can. You know what I mean? A McNicholas. And you can't go out there and get him out of there when you're trying your hardest. Like you could tell, Shakur Stevenson was trying with all his heart to put the beings on Harutunian. But I've said in other videos, I'm going to say it again. Look, the secret's out. Shakur Stevenson is right-handed, and he fights southpaw. His right hand is his power, man. The left hand can sting you. You get hit with some shit you don't see. You don't need to have much power. And with the proper placement, you can get somebody out of there. But those days are over for Shakur Stevenson. He's really a smaller guy. He's a 3-weight champion and shit. He at 135, he doesn't look ripped. He doesn't look shredded. I think he's maybe at a weight class that may be a little bit too big for him. To be honest with you, when you start talking about as far as his power and how effective he can be, as far as shots that he lands and the impact his shots have on his opponents. But nonetheless, he will never be a KO artist. What he wants to give fans, what fans want to see from him, is it will never happen. So is he being unfairly attacked? Look, I don't know. I think when they're attacking him because of his performance in the ring, look, he stepped to Harutunian. But people are like, okay, cool. Why didn't you do that to Edwin De Los Santos? And that's why I said for Shakur Stevenson, to me, he should just shut up and just chill and listen to what people are saying or ignore him and just go on about his business, because you can't make everybody happy. You can see Shakur Stevenson was really trying, but it goes back to what I was saying again. Once the right hand isn't that effective because people know that's where your strength is, and all you got to do is rely on that backhand, which happens to be your weak hand because you're converted, you up shit creek. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of control somebody, and you can probably make them a little miserable when you're chicken pecking them and coochie cooing them and shit. But unless you can come in there and hit them with that mega boom shot, that goddamn sonic boom, if you can't do that tranquilize them, you just got to accept the fact that now we see you as a boxer runner. You know what I'm saying? You're going to just run your way to the end of the fight and get your unanimous decision. Now, the problem for Shakur Stevenson, I see people now are talking about Shakur, his biggest fight, and Tank Davis' biggest challenge will be Shakur Stevenson. To that I say, in the most respectful way, is hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid, and don't get Shakur Stevenson killed. He does not belong in there with Tank Davis. He doesn't belong in there again with Edwin De Los Santos. He does not belong in there with Zepeda. Shakur Stevenson, man, look, let me tell you something. He's smart. It's very hard to hit him. But even me sitting back, right, I recognize immediately he can't fight and be effective if you putting pressure on him and making the fight, making him uncomfortable. He can't. He just can't do it. Now, when he has these C-level guys in there trying to put that pressure on him, yeah, he can sit there and figure it out and start to kind of control him. But if he's going to bubble up and try to fight a guy like Zepeda, my man, if Shakur Stevenson can't hurt Zepeda, Zepeda's coming at him. He's going to chase him around that goddamn ring the same way Madueno was chasing Keyshawn Davis. Them early rounds for Davis, you could see in his face. His body language was saying, feet don't fail me now. Batty, batty, batty. He was trying to get up out of it. He was straight Hollywood shuffle. You know what I'm saying? I think with Shakur Stevenson, his next fight, look, I personally think his next fight should be Frank Martin. That's me. People may disagree. But if somehow he ends up fighting a tough fight like Zepeda. I'm telling y'all, I don't think he beats him. And if he beats him, attaboy, Shakir, you prove me wrong. But I just think Zepeda, with the volume of punches he throws, that come forward style, I think that is how you beat a slick boxer who needs to be able time to think and relax and process information and be in their comfort zone and their rhythm. Is you disrupt all that by making that shit into a mash-up, crash-up, which is what Zepeda's going to do. And I think y'all going to see Shakir not just lose, you may even see him get knocked out because Zepeda is coming. Now, and I'm going to tell you, Shakur Stevenson, man, I just don't think he has the power to keep a savage like Zepeda off of him. You may say, okay, what about Tank and Zepeda? Tank has the power to not just keep somebody off him, to tranquilize you. So as far as Shakur Stevenson being unfairly attacked, I mean, hey, by now, if fans haven't accepted the fact that Shakur Stevenson, he's not knocking anybody out. And he's moving up the ladder, so the competition's becoming stiffer. So it's not going to be that easy to get those guys out. The guys are qualified to be in the ring with him. So it is what it is. But where Shakir goes wrong, this is just my opinion, is he's too vocal. Now, I'm not saying to suffer in silence. No, if you poke me in my eye, I'm going to poke you back. But if you out here saying a bunch of craziness to me on Twitter, I ain't really got time for that. But then he's a young guy. You know what I mean? I done been through all that phase. That shit is dumb. What you worried about that? And the other thing people talk about, even I think he's taking it to the stupid by choosing to try to go out there and roll the dice. Don't get me wrong, chances make champions. And I believe, no one gonna love you like you love yourself. But I was thinking about it earlier this evening. I was like, you know what? If Shakur Stevenson wants to roll the dice on himself, he doesn't need a safety net. Like re-signing with Top Rank. He don't need a safety net because he's got dough. You know what I mean? He's his own safety net. So if it takes him 6 months, a year, or whatever, to get what he wants, or 2 years for the deal he wants, and he's trying to do things on his own, he's got the money to where he could just stumble along, bump his head, make mistakes, and then eventually he'll figure out the right path and the method to getting what he wants. And I think he'll be okay. But I do think at the same time, after the performance he put on this past weekend and his past performances, I can't see no one really jumping to give him a deal better than what Top Rank was giving him. $3 million each for 5 fights, $15 million. He can get them 5 fights in about 2 years. Throw that $15 million aside, and then if he can really come out here and work on, sitting on his punches a little bit more, then, then maybe. Because listen, I'm going to tell you right now, don't tell me that Shakur Stevenson can't come out here and start tranquilizing people. Jermell Charlo, he was the twin that they said had no power. And then what did he do? He became a knockout artist. Straight boxer punch before he was a boxer. He's more of a puncher boxer now. So with the right coach, the right mentality, the right sparring, and the right commitment level, I think anybody can improve their knockout ratio. If you weren't born with heavy hands, you weren't born with heavy hands. You can't go out here and train and develop heavy hands. But with the right commitment and technique and mentality and sitting on your punches, I think a person like Shakur Stevenson could find himself hurting people a bit more. But again, it's going to come back to what I said. He's naturally right-handed, fight southpaw. Everyone knows that shit now. And if they get in there and take away his best weapon, which is his jab, which everyone talks about, even from sparring, his jab is a problem. You can sit there, man, and take away that. He's a sitting duck. Well, he ain't really sitting there. He's a running duck. You know what I'm saying? Because the left hand ain't really that much of a threat. It's the speed. And you get hit with shit you don't see, that creates a big problem once you take away that right hand. So that being said, Shakur Stevenson being unfairly attacked for the way he fights, yes. But I understand why, because he's on social media and he always has something to say about people. And he's combative, he's confrontational, he's very disrespectful, his language is horrible. But so are the people who are messing with him. But to me, once you get to that level, you got that dough, you got kids, you're comfortable. Yo, man, you're in a great space. Everything for you is going right. Don't even worry about this. Don't get caught up in this nonsense, man. You know what I'm saying? Focus on the things that are most important, not something that somebody who's sitting at home, still writing their name on the box of orange juice, living in their mother and father's crib. You know what I'm saying? Who's on Twitter saying shit about you. Nah, man. Chill. Get your shit together. Keep making your dough. But don't mess around and pull a Devin Haney now and try to prove to people that you got power and stand in the center of the ring, especially if he gets a big fight against, let's say, Frank Martin next, or somehow whenever he fights Tank or Zepeda. Don't decide that those are the fights where you want to prove that you got power and get your ass tranquilized. Because it almost happened to Devin Haney when he messed with Linares, almost happened against Jojo Diaz, and with Ryan Garcia, it did happen. People can say what they want about that fight. Ryan Garcia put the bing-bings on him. That being said, keep cool. Everybody, not just Shakur Stevenson, you got to learn to listen a whole lot and talk very little once you get to a certain point, especially in your career and in your life. Make things a whole lot better. Have people out there thinking that you're not aware, you're not cognizant of what's being said about you, and the whole time you're totally aware of it. You just need to let them know. You know what I'm saying? You just sit there and make a mental note of that. When you see them, no, nothing. Still treat them the same, but they would never know you know what time it is. You know what you're dealing with. And just move easy. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.